got out of there. So, anyways, it was a fun couple of days. Got to just kind of get away for in the trailer for a little bit, and just enjoy getting away from everybody. So obviously we didn't have your typical Thanksgiving meal. I think we had. I think I had chicken and. I remember what else I had. I think I had some veggies of some sort. I think my wife made some sort of a chicken dish with some cauliflower bites, and I think so. I think I had some chicken that I grilled up, and we took out there with us, and then had some cauliflower. So that was our Thanksgiving meal. But we just enjoyed it out there. So overall, that was fun. Now, what I will say is that while I was out there, I was in a great deal of discomfort. And so I'm going to move into this next topic about setbacks and training and health. So it's all kind of inclusive, but I can kind of break it down into different areas here. But while I was out there, I was in a great deal of discomfort. If you had been watching my live streams on Zwift for about the past month, you may have caught that I have been dealing with some left leg pain issues and kind of complaining about it, and kind of just getting in there and still trying to put in the work that I can do. And so even while I was out camping, I had leg pain issues. So let's talk about the leg pain, and we're going to call that the setback. And I'll just kind of summarize and just get right into it. So I've got a blood clot in my left leg. Okay, it's actually even sitting here right now. There's a bit of discomfort, but it's not so bad as it can be. It kind of comes and goes in waves on how bad it just wants to ache and be in pain. So right now it's fine. But let's talk about my history with blood clot and how long I've been dealing with this current one. So, somewhere around 2003 to 2004, I got a blood clot in my left calf. Now, at that time, there was no real diagnosis on. I don't want to say diagnosis because diagnosis is the blood clot, right? I guess cause is the thing that could not be figured out. I don't recall injuring myself. I do kind of recall stepping in a little divot in the shop and twisting my ankle, but they're not even sure that caused the blood clot. But and I kind of recall this all occurred on like a Thursday, like a Wednesday or Thursday. I was starting to feel some pain in my calf, and it would just felt like my ankle was aching. Hurt all the way up until Friday, through the weekend, and by Monday, the next day, the following day of work, it just got to the point where I just couldn't stand anymore. So I had to go get it checked, and that's where they diagnosed it as a blood clot. It was 6 inches long in my left calf. So this is 20 years ago that happened. And so they put me on. Where are you? Sorry, read the chat over here. Where are you from? What is the secret of beauty and life? Her fan, I will get to that here in a bit. Let me just finish talking about this topic just a little bit. So in any case, 20 years ago, I had this blood clot, and I kind of recall back then I was out of work for about a month that I recall. Now back then the way they treat a blood clot is different today, which I discovered because back then I pretty much had to stay home out of work for a month, limited mobility, and I was taking I think it was called Coumadin, which was the pill, and then Lovenox, which is the self-injection. So I had to they sent a nurse over for a couple of days to teach me how to inject myself with Lovenox on a daily basis with these blood thinners. Now, that cured up in about a month that I recall. Like, I remember the pain going away, and I was kind of doing weekly Dopplers or ultrasounds, so they were checking it to make sure that it wasn't breaking off or moving around, things like that. Finally, after about a month, it healed up, went away. The last Doppler I had, it was all gone. In fact, the doctor said that there was like minimal to not even no scarring whatsoever from it. In fact, he said, I kind of recall this statement that he said that if another person were to check it with a Doppler, that they would not even notice that I had a blood clot. There was no traces or evidence of scarring or anything like that. So anyways, that was 20 years ago. Now today, in current time, I started feeling leg pain probably about a month ago. It was about a month ago because I can recall some specific events where I was stretching my calf muscles a lot because that's where it started. Hang on a sec, y'all. I'm going to check all these other chats here really quick. So about a month ago, it started in my left calf again. Okay. And you got to keep in mind, when you've had a blood clot, you feel certain aches and pains, and you try not to associate like every ache and pain as a blood clot again, because also, since I'm a cyclist and a very competitive cyclist, I also deal with fatigued muscles, tight muscles, chronically, tight calves, things like that. So you have to kind of break the lines of like what is sore muscle, aching muscle versus blood clot, right? So I've gone 20 years with this in competitive cycling for probably the last 10 to 13 years. And, so you try to disassociate like what's leg pain. But when I got this a month ago, there was something distinct about the pain and how it felt, where I felt it in my calf again, and it just kind of radiates to the ankle. In fact, I recall at one point in time where I was in Las Vegas with my brothers for my brother's wedding, and one of my brothers noticed that I was kind of stepping on the curb with my toes and let my heel drop to stretch my calf muscle. And he noticed, he looked at it, he said, are you okay? You got tight muscle? I said, yeah, I think so. It's probably just a tight muscle. So anyways, I believe that's the start of it, okay? Because that calf muscle pain lasted probably about a week that I was dealing with it, where it would come and go. And keep in mind, I was still jumping on Zwift, doing my workouts. It was something that I could still work through. And then eventually that pain went away, but then all of a sudden the pain was behind my knee. So my wife was, my wife is a physical therapist. She thought that it was probably a tight gastric muscle that's kind of like pulling the calf and things, but she didn't want to rule out blood clot either. So this pain eventually moved to behind my knee. It radiated into my upper thigh and my lower calf and down to my ankle, all that. And again, I was still doing Zwift. I was riding. Like I said, you can probably go back to some of my previous Zwift sessions and you see where I'm kind of complaining about this as I'm working out. And that lasted about a week. And then eventually just one day that went away. But then the pain moved to my inner thigh, upper inner thigh. Okay. And I had been dealing with that for I would say probably 6 days ago from now. So that's why during the camping trip, I was still dealing with this discomfort. Okay. So I knew, like, now I'm thinking, okay, I got an issue with hamstring or the inner part of of the leg muscle. Okay. So I'm dealing with it, a little discomfort walking around, things like that. We got back from the trip and the pain was continuing to get worse. There was times where I could walk okay and not walk okay. And finally by Sunday, I think over the weekend, I told my wife, I was like, you know what, she told me, you need to get with your primary and go get this thing looked at. Well, I had already committed in my mind that I was going to contact my primary doctor and get this thing looked at. But by Sunday morning, it was just aching so bad that I had decided, like, I think it was about 5:30 in the morning, like, I need to just go over to urgent care, get this thing looked at, and figure out what's going on. Because in my mind, I kind of already knew. But I've never experienced it as far as being further up the leg, because my previous one was in my calf muscle. So went to the urgent care. Luckily, there was hardly anybody there at that time that I went. Got in right away. I think within 10 to 15 minutes of checking in, I was already on a bed, and there was a technician there doing an ultrasound, and she noticed. It didn't take her like even like a half a second of putting the little tool or wand or whatever you want to call it down on my leg, and she said, "Yep, I can already tell." She didn't even start doing like full scanning to like check size of it, position. She knew right away that there is in fact a blood clot in my left leg. So she ended up doing the full scan where they come all the way up into the groin, like crotch area, and just slightly past, checking that whole vein coming through and connecting veins. She didn't really give me a size, but I could tell based on like where she was like taking snapshot measurements and moving and taking like other snapshot movements. I would say that it's probably at least a 3 to 4 inch clot in my leg right now. So obviously she moved further down, checked behind the knee, on the side of the knee, behind the knee, all the veins going through there, all the way down to the calf, down to the ankle. And she could even see traces of it where it probably started in my left calf. Because you got to remember, that's where it all started a month ago. So in any case, I was a bit upset at the time, just because of what was going on. I mean, it was just it was very hard for me to feel that sense of like, oh shit, because all along, if you know anything about blood clots, you want to catch them early, and here I am. I let this thing go a month, and during that time, you have all the potential of like a PE, essentially a blood clot breaking off and heading to the lungs or heading to the brain, and you're talking potentially death, So it wasn't at all like the last time that I got a blood clot, because I remember specifically when the doctor said, you got a blood clot, I kind of got lightheaded, and not kind of, I did get lightheaded, and I passed out just from the thought. And so when this nurse or this technician said that you had a blood clot, I was a little bit more at ease, but at the same time, I'm kind of scared, because this one is further up in my leg, like way up, in the upper leg, inside of the leg. So they gave me, they did labs. They gave me my first dose of Eliquis, blood thinner. And then I picked up the rest at a pharmacy the next day. So the way they treat them, a blood clot today is a lot different than 20 years ago. So I don't have to do self-injections, even though I'm more comfortable with that nowadays. So I'm taking, it's taken orally. So I'm currently on the loading dose where you take more of the medication to rapidly get it in your system, and then you, after a week, you eventually cut back and you just take sort of a maintenance dose for a month or 2 months, depending on how quickly your body can dissolve this thing. So in any case, that's kind of the rundown on the setback or the blood clot as far as other things that are going on in life right now, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But just a little bit more on this leg pain. It really changes on a day-to-day and hour-by-hour on how manageable it is. Like right now, I can tell you it's comfortable. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be on live stream right now if I couldn't handle it right now. Now, there have been other days where I can't sit in this chair, I can't stand up, I can't lay down. Last night, I think the last 2 nights, in fact, last night was probably the worst, but I was probably up for about an hour and a half, just literally moaning, practically wanting to cry, tossing right, tossing left, just couldn't get comfortable. It was just, it was just such a awful pain and ache going on that I couldn't stand it. I couldn't even walk. I had to get up, go to the bathroom, and I'm like limping to the restroom. I had to go get some Tylenol, which is the only thing you can take when you're on a blood thinner. So I went to go all the way to the kitchen to go get some Tylenol to hopefully try to alleviate some of the pain. So it just comes and goes. It's really, right now I can tell you it's somewhat comfortable. I almost feel like I could maybe get on the bike and do a Zwift session, maybe just do some light pedaling so that I feel like I'm doing something. But we'll see how that goes right now. Right now I just think it's a good idea just to kind of wait and see how things are going. So hopefully my body will do its job and just take care of this thing and we get it fixed. So anyways, there's the deal on the blood clot. Now let's talk about setbacks in training. If you're not aware of this, I am currently signed up to compete in USA Cycling Esport National Championships in January. I think it's the first weekend in January. Hold on, let me double check that. Yep, first weekend in January. So I've been on this path of training for about the last month and a half once I heard that they were coming out. And during the last month, you know, it's kind of affected my workouts, but yet I was still kind of putting in the efforts here and there, but there was some difficulty. Like I couldn't really feel like I could put out all the effort that I could to really gain the benefit of a workout. About the only thing that I was really gaining is the workout is helping me achieve that other goal of being a little bit lighter by the time Esport National Championship starts. Because since it is an esport event and it's an official event, you know, there's going to be, you know, you have to do videos where you have to demonstrate your height. You have to do videos where you do a weigh-in, so you have to be very official on your actual weight, because believe it or not, that's the way that people cheat on Zwift, is they put weight that is lighter than what they are. So it's very, very official. You know, you have to do the weigh-in videos and everything like that. And then through December, so December I look at it as my last month to prepare for this event, for training. And now I have a little bit of a setback, okay? So what I'm going to try to do, hopefully this thing can get at a point where it's a little bit more comfortable to deal with, because they didn't say that I can't exercise. Okay. In fact, it is okay to exercise while you have one. You just have to be careful about, obviously you don't want things to break off and move and things like that. And exercise won't necessarily cause that. It's like other factors, like if you're massaging it or something like that, will definitely cause that. So anyways, in the month of December is kind of like the last month of training, but is also the 3 qualifying events for eSport National Championships, which are actually part of a race series that starts the first weekend of December. There's actually three weeks in a row, and you have to do weekly weigh-in videos, and you do these races, but you only have to do one to qualify. But my goal was to essentially race all 6 of them. So there's three. Hey, Brian, I'll tell you here in a sec. So there's 3 in December and 3 in January. So my goal is to race all of them. But right now I'm good with what I'm currently dealing with. So Brian, I know you weren't here, but I spent quite a bit of time talking about the leg pain that I've been dealing with for the last month, which I think if you were on some of my streams, you heard me talking about it. It is in fact a blood clot that has started about a month ago. So it has moved from my calf. It has moved to behind my knee, to where now it is currently in my upper thigh, inner upper thigh, which is why I've been dealing with all this leg pain while I'm on Zwift. And it's not tight muscle or anything like that. It was not a tight gastric muscle. It was just a 4-inch blood clot that has moved from my calf to behind my knee to today it sits, in my thigh. So that's kind of the setback right now. I'm going to continue to, hopefully, like I said, as the pain comes and goes. Right now it's fine. Last night it wasn't. I had about an hour and a half of just, like I said, moaning and groaning and practically crying because it was so painful last night. Yeah, I'm on thinners right now. So today is officially my 3rd day of taking thinners. So, so while I was out camping with my wife over Thanksgiving Day, I was dealing with it then. Yeah, I can exercise. It's kind of like no different than when I was feeling those pain, the pain before, and I was doing Zwift. It's no different. It's just going to be whether it's a manageable day on the pain or not. So like right now, I feel comfortable sitting where I have not had one. You've had one? Yeah, I've had one too. I had one 20 years ago in the same leg. It was in my calf and it stayed there. It was a 6-inch clot in my calf, and that happened 20 years ago. And so here we are 20 years later, and I've got another one, but this one actually moved from the calf to the behind the knee and to the leg. So we're just going to have to take it day by day as far as like jumping on the bike, doing Zwift sessions. My plan is to still do the Echelon Racing Series. I know you only have to do one to qualify, but my plan is to do all of them. So I think as far as fitness goes, I'm going to have to take it or leave it as it is what it is, and just kind of focus on the continuation of shedding the pounds, which that has been happening for the last month. I've been slowly ticking down the scale. So So we're just going to keep focusing on that and hope that, I don't think my power is going to change. I think my power is still 294, 290, 290, 294. We're just going to focus on the weight and continuing to try to get 90-minute sessions in. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah, I know the course well, too. I know you talked about it on your podcast, and I do like it because that one hill that you come around, as you're coming around, I don't know whether it's north or south end, but I think you know the hill that I'm talking about. That's a good kicker for me. I don't... There are certain types of races that I look forward to where it's not dominated by hill climbing. But that race there, that particular hill, and there's a couple of others that are just nice kickers for me. Get out of the saddle and kind of bump up the watts. You don't really feel like you're hill climbing. You just get a good kicker in for that one there. So I do like it. So anyways, there's that on the little bit of life, health, setbacks, and training. So we're just going to try to stay positive about the whole thing. This is not my first rodeo in a blood clot situation. So I think I'm handling this one better than I did the previous one. Although the first couple of days, like on Sunday when I was actually diagnosed, I went into urgent care and I was diagnosed, and I came home. I knew mentally I was not right. And my wife could even pick it up. And it wasn't even so much about training, writing, or anything like that. It was just life in general. Just because I'm struggling already mentally about whether I want to continue racing in a competitive fashion. I don't want to say professional or anything like that because I'll never really be a professional athlete. I'm just a pretty good local amateur, right? But I keep feeling like these different health issues that I've experienced for the last 3 years, chasing this, chasing that, this pops up, and I just feel like, honestly, just everything's telling me that it's just time to slow down, but I don't know, I don't think you can fully take the competitive nature out of what I do or